You saw my worst of video, now let's talk about the best of 2014. Usually a lot of movie critics on YouTube like to do their best of first and their worst of last. I feel like every year I'm going to switch it around. Obviously I did my worst of first this year, but I want to end 2014 on a high note, so that's why I'm saving the best of for last, or for now. So let's just get into it. These are my favorite movies of 2014. Now, before going to my list, this would normally be the part where I talk about the big surprise of 2014, the movie that I didn't expect to be good at all, saw it, and was surprised. But you know what? I'm going to wait, because the surprise this year for me was so good, it actually made my top 10. So I'm going to fill this spot with some honorable mentions. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Big Hero 6, How to Train Your Dragon 2, The Imitation Game, Selma, Edge of Tomorrow, all really good movies that quite didn't make my top 10. If I made a top 20, those movies would definitely be in there. But let's talk about the 10 movies that I picked. As good as The Imitation Game is, the number 10 movie is my favorite British period piece of the year, and that is Theory of Everything. This biopic slash love story between Stephen Hawking and Jane Wilde Hawking is really well done. It's got great performances from your two leads, Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones. The music is beautiful, there's a real sense of emotion, and there's a strong message of you might be up against all odds. You might have a horrible disease that'll kill you in 2 years, but if you can fight it, or if you really believe in yourself, you can really conquer much more. So that's why I picked The Theory of Everything above The Imitation Game. The Imitation Game is really good also, but I like The Theory of Everything a little more. At number 9, we have my pick for the Oscar for production design, and that is Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. I really regret not seeing this movie in the theater. It's really beautiful. It's really funny, filled with great performances from Ralph Fiennes and several other people. Many of them have been longtime collaborators with Anderson. It's just such a bizarrely interesting movie to see that I kind of don't know how to describe it. So Grand Budapest Hotel is something that just go see for yourself. It's really that good if you haven't seen it. And what's really good about this movie is that with Moonrise Kingdom from 2012, I said, if you're not a fan of Wes Anderson, this is not the movie that's going to change your opinion. Grand Budapest Hotel might be that movie that changes your opinion. So definitely check it out, whether you're a Wes Anderson fan or not. Although if you're a Wes Anderson fan, you've probably seen it a million times already. Number 8, we have a smaller movie that I don't see making a lot of lists, but should, because it's that good. Jon Favreau's Chef. This is a small personal movie that Jon Favreau made that kind of is a commentary on his career at this point. Like in between like doing Cowboys and Aliens and doing this. How he just wanted to do something where he had free reign of, and it definitely delivers. It's really funny, heartfelt. The supporting cast is really great, from Sofia Vergara, Scarlett Johansson, John Leguizamo, Oliver Platt, Dustin Hoffman, and Robert Downey Jr. It's all great, and it is, oh my god, I'm sorry, I gotta go get some food. I'm starving thinking about this movie. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. But as you can tell, this movie is the ultimate food porn. It'll make you want to eat the best food around. So that's Chef, my 8th favorite movie of the year. Number 7 is where we get to the surprise of this year, the movie that I didn't expect at all to be good, yet for some reason it was so good that it ended up on my top 10 list, and that is the Lego Movie. Now, the reason is, we are in 2015. A theatrically released Lego Movie with Chris Pratt, Elizabeth Banks, Will Arnett, Morgan Freeman, Liam Neeson, Charlie Day, and several other people was made, and yet it's not bad. It didn't come across as like a big commercial for Lego. It actually was really good, really clever, and my favorite animated movie of the year. I mean, originally when I saw this, I didn't know how to feel about it. I was like, this is good, but I'm not really in love with it. But the twist at the end of the movie made me go, I get it now. And then I saw the movie again and couldn't stop laughing. I just really love this movie. It's such a surprise. It really does look great in terms of its animation. I'm curious to see what's going to happen next with the next Lego movie. This was a surprise to me. So good that it's in my top 10. Number 6 is something that you all know I had to put on here at some point, especially if you know me personally, and that is probably the most controversial movie. No, it's not the most controversial movie of the year. It's Godzilla. Does it have problems? Yes, it does. Could the movie have used more Godzilla? Absolutely. Was Aaron Taylor Johnson terrible? I don't think so. I mean, he's not entirely compelling. He's not Bryan Cranston, but I don't think he was really god-awful. I mean, compared to Matthew Broderick and the last time we had an American Godzilla, Aaron Taylor Johnson is Bryan Cranston. The reason why I picked this movie here is because as a Godzilla fan, it was really a treat to see a new Godzilla movie in the theater. Even though it's American Godzilla, it's nice to see a different take on this character, where we kind of focus on the human characters who are more proactive, at least Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. He's more proactive than most of the human characters in previous Godzilla movies. But this is, I think, a really enjoyable movie. Obviously, I'm probably the only person who's going to have this on a top 10 list, but it has great cinematography. The score is pretty fitting for a Godzilla movie. The Mutos are really unique creatures. Definitely rank up there with some of the other classic Godzilla monsters. Not like Mothra, Rodan, or King Ghidorah status, but maybe Hedorah, Ebirah, something that's a little smaller but still well known. And it has my favorite moment of any movie this year, where we see Godzilla use his atomic breath for the first time. It's really, I mean, I really dig this movie. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine, but as a Godzilla fan, you can tell where I'm coming from. And I can hear somebody whispering or about to type in their keyboard saying, "Fanboy!" And if there's any disappointment I had with Godzilla, is that I expected it to be the best movie of 2014, and it wasn't. It's at number 6, so clearly I'm not that much of a fanboy to just put it at number 1. Because there were 5 movies that were better. And number 5, we have another surprise, but a movie that I had confidence in that it was going to be good, and that's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This team was completely unknown to the mainstream. Nobody knew what they were, and it comes out as the highest grossing film of the US and the second highest grossing film domestically. It's really clever. It's Marvel's space opera. It's their equivalent to Star Wars. It's action-packed. It has some emotional moments. And the one thing I regret not mentioning in any of my reviews is the character Groot. At first, I thought he wasn't really worth mentioning because it's Vin Diesel just saying 5 words. But when you think about it, Groot is the heart of this movie. Him and Rocket are the heart and soul of this movie. I really dig this movie. A lot of people love it, rightfully so. I can't wait to see what happens next in the sequel and the rest of Marvel's cosmic realm. Guardians of the Galaxy truly is a surprise and one of my favorite movies of this year. Number 4 is probably the most creative movie I've seen this year, and one that is getting a lot of critical praise, rightfully so. It's Birdman, with Michael Keaton, Ed Norton, Emma Stone, several other people. The big thing that everyone is talking about with this movie is how it looks like one long continuous take, similar to Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which I know the director hates, but whatever. Yeah, Rope is great. But this one is a little better because we have the technology and editing skills to pull off what appears to be one long shot. But that doesn't distract at all from what's great about this movie. It's got terrific performances from Michael Keaton, Ed Norton, Naomi Watts, Emma Stone, and Zach Galifianakis. It's really nice to see him in a role where he's not the bumbling idiot like he is in Due Date or Hangover. And I swear this movie was written, and it really feels like this movie was written with Michael Keaton in mind for the lead role, given his experience with Batman. Some people claim it's not, but regardless, this is really good. If you haven't seen Birdman, definitely give it a shot. If you can find it in the theater, that's great. If not, then you gotta rent it on Blu-ray when it comes out. Now we're getting into the top 3. And number 3 is similar to Godzilla, only in the sense that it corrected an error, whereas Godzilla corrected the error of the 1998 Matthew Broderick movie. This movie corrected not one, but two errors when it comes to the X-Men film series. I'm talking about X-Men Days of Future Past. X-Men First Class was a really good movie, one of my favorites of 2011 when it came out. But this is so much better. It's got emotional stakes. It's nice to see Bryan Singer back in the director's chair, who really knows and understands this franchise. It's nice to see that X-Men 3 is at least acknowledged while being erased, while X-Men Origins Wolverine is completely erased from the continuity. Everyone does a good job in here. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, some of the older cast members who were in the past X-Men movies like Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Halle Berry, and Hugh Jackman, which this is really great. It's an X-Men movie that has a lot of my favorite mutants in here. And Wolverine, for the first time in an X-Men ensemble movie, is a team player rather than a show stealer. It really is the first movie to have most of the famous mutants and make it a team movie, not just the Wolverine show, which, hey, X-Men and X2 are fine, but they mainly focused on Wolverine. But Days of Future Past, really great movie. It's a time travel movie that corrected several wrongs and has gotten people excited for what the future holds for the X-Men series. Number 2 is the best Marvel movie of the year, and second best only to the Avengers, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I've been talking about this movie a lot, probably more than I have with Godzilla, but Winter Soldier is really where things started to kick off in this phase 2. Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World were decent to good movies, but kind of had some issues. Winter Soldier is practically flawless. It's a fantastic political thriller. It's a million times better than Captain America: The First Avenger, which I love. And it has some consequences. It doesn't have a completely happy ending at the end. Chris Evans does a fantastic job as Steve Rogers, who is put up against all odds, faced with this thing that he thought was gone, and yet he still pushes through. He doesn't chicken out. He doesn't say, this is too hard. He is a soldier, and he's got to do what he's got to do. And then you got Scarlett Johansson, who's really always good as Black Widow. Anthony Mackie's a great addition. Robert Redford makes for a pretty interesting villain at points. The action is phenomenal, and you can't believe it's done by the Russo brothers, who haven't done a movie of this scale before, and man, they pull it off. I'm excited for what Civil War holds, and I'm also excited for what happens in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, it would be my favorite movie of the year had the number 1 movie not come out. And at number 1 is probably a movie that's the most personal for me. I might enjoy Captain America, Godzilla, or X-Men more, but this movie was actually very personal for me, and that's Richard Linklater's Boyhood. Now, like with Birdman, the big thing that everyone's talking about with this movie is how it was filmed over the course of 12 years, with the kid who plays the main character, Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke, aging naturally. And it's definitely more of, I don't want to say experimental film, but it's more of an experience movie. It's sort of like when people described Tree of Life to me. I'm not a big fan of Tree of Life, but this is something that actually is like Tree of Life, but appealed more to me. It took me back to the days of my childhood, made me go, oh yeah, I remember certain situations when I experienced that in my life. And there were certain situations I was happy I never experienced. And it's almost 3 hours long, and it never is boring at all. The complete opposite of Transformers 4. This movie feels very natural. I hope it gets some Oscar attention. This would be my pick for Best Picture. Boyhood might not be the most enjoyable movie of the year, but for hitting such a personal note with me, that's why this is my favorite movie of the year. And those are my favorite movies of 2014. I definitely think it was a better year than 2013. I'm excited for what 2015 holds. So leave a comment, tell me what your favorite movies of 2014 were. Like, subscribe, go check out my video blog channel. You can follow me on Twitter at AlexG8462. Follow me on Instagram at TheRealMrRobinson. And go like me on Facebook /TheRealMrRobinson. Don't forget to check out my written reviews on Geeked Out Nation. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. See you guys later.